This program is sponsored by TechTime Radio. Visit them online at techtimeradio.com.
Broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, technology news of the week. Show for the everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology news. I'm Nathan Mumm, your host and technologist with over 30 years of technology expertise. Our co-host Mike Roday is in studio today, and he's the award-winning author and a human behavior expert. Now, of course, we live stream during our show on 5/4 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch.tv, X, if we now have to upgrade to a premium subscription, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to visit us online at techtimeradio.com and become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/TechTimeRadio. We're all friends with different backgrounds, but we bring the best technology show possible weekly for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. We're glad to have Odie, our producer, at the control panel today. Welcome, everyone. Let's start today's show.
Now on today's show.
All right, today on Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, buckle up as we drive into the latest tech news and stories. And here's what's coming up on the show today. Well, guess what? Elon Musk announced that he has an AI supercomputer. Brace yourself for the launch of Grok 3, the world's most powerful AI, of course, according to Elon Musk, as he promises it will be the game changer by the end of the year. Poor Greg
What game is he going to change?
Look at Mark.
Tic-tac-toe?
He's got his hands down and he's just shaking his head. All right, now we're going to talk all about this. And have you heard about this thing about CrowdStrike? Have you heard about this chaos that's going on?
I was affected by this.
You're affected. How were you affected by that?
It shut down our state system for almost all day Friday.
All day Friday. Oh, so you were completely shut down. The banks were shut down. People couldn't fly anywhere on airplanes, all because of a security company. Now, who do we go to when we ask cybersecurity information? Who's our expert? We have Nick Espinosa. Of course, we bumped James Riddle to next week so we could get Nick Espinosa on the show this week to talk about what is going on with CrowdStrike. He's going to have all the information, what went wrong.
It's nice to know that we can push an update and disable half the world.
And push an update incorrectly. That's right. And it affects everybody. Now, Microsoft said it hit 8.5 million PCs with this bug. The fallout is still rippling. And then, of course, guess what we're going to be talking about? Have you ever heard of big butts triggering TSA alarms?
No, I've heard the song.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to be talking about that. And then, of course, we have Mike's mesmerizing moment, our technology fail of the week, a possible Nathan Nugget, and of course, the most important aspect, the pick of the day whiskey tastings, where we select our whiskey pick and it gets 0, 1, or 2 thumbs up by the end of the show. Now, though, it's time for the latest headlines in the world of technology.
Here are our top technology stories of the week.
All right, story number 1. Musk promises to deliver the world's most powerful AI by the end of this year. All right, let's go to Corinne Westland for more on this story.
Tesla CEO and ex-owner Elon Musk announced Monday that his AI startup, xAI, had officially begun training its Memphis supercomputer, what he describes as the most powerful AI training cluster in the world. Once fully operational, Musk plans to use it to build, quote, the world's most powerful AI by every metric by December of this year, which presumably will be Grok 3. Is this another vaporware product, or does he have the power to put a hurt on OpenAI? Back to you in the studio.
All right.
What is a metric of AI?
I don't know. How do you say it? How do you say I'm the best, right? It's kind of like I'm the best president. I'm the best this. I mean, you just self-declare yourself.
More and more like very delusional as we see. Like,
Yeah. You know what? I was a big Musk
like
fan
Trump.
back in the day when he came out with Tesla. He was kind of a rule breaker, kind of like the Mark Cuban type of deal. And now he's just like
That's what happens. That's what happens when people feed your ego all the time.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
So remember, we talked about the NVIDIA GPUs, right? Tesla had a bunch of these GPUs, and what did Elon Musk decide to do? He decided to ship all of his best NVIDIA GPUs to his AI startup, so that they could become the best supercomputer in the world. Have you ever seen that movie? What's the one with Shia LaBeouf? Is it Eagle Eye, where they have like that main supercomputer that goes around? I think that's what it is.
There's like 20 million of those.
Yeah, so where they got the supercomputer. So Elon Musk is trying to build the fastest AI computer. Now, his current AI system sucks. I mean, I'll just tell you, Grok 1 or Grok 2 or whatever you want to call his current AI, you might as well just kick that to the curb. So I don't know how he thinks he's going to get better with this. But
I want to know what better means. Does that mean,
faster processors, more information?
It's not going to just take over my computer and do everything for me?
I don't know.
Wash my clothes?
He built the supercomputer in Memphis, Tennessee. I mean, when I think of hotbeds for technology, I think of
you don't think
Seattle. I think of Silicon Valley, Boston, New York. Never in my mind would I ever think, but according to, of course, the mayor at Tennessee Valley Authority, essentially they say that this is the place for technology. So now my question is to you, Mike. I will give you 10-1 odds. Is Elon Musk, so you want to bet me $1, I'll give you $10 back. Is Elon Musk going to have the AI supercomputer by the end of the year?
My honest opinion?
Yes.
No.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. OpenAI is not going to let that come anywhere near that, right?
No, I think he's just talking out of the wrong side of his body.
Okay, maybe he's working with the TSA agents, so we're going to be talking about it a little bit later.
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
He's just got billionaire's disease.
He does. All right. Now, Odie, we got a story here that we're going to go to next on story number 2.
Speaking of butts.
Oh, speaking of butts, let me add myself to there we go. Okay. Xbox has come out with controllers that look like Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay, well, that's the movie that comes out this Friday, right?
Yes, that's the third one that comes out this Friday.
Yes, the third one, Deadpool.
Microsoft has one last surprise before the release of Deadpool and Wolverine on Friday, a Wolverine butt controller to match the Deadpool one it announced last week. It looks just like the red one, complete with a prominent backside, except it's yellow and blue and it has fake pockets. They even posted a billboard of it in Alberta, Canada, which is where Wolverine is from in the comics.
Yep.
You can only get it though through a sweepstakes.
It's one of the Bing sweepstakes where you can sign up for it.
Microsoft sweepstakes.
Yeah, the Microsoft sweepstakes.
Similar to the Deadpool one, all you have to do is be over the age of 18 and interact with the official social media posts, supposedly on Microsoft's Instagram account with the hashtag Microsoft Cheeky Sweepstakes.
Cheeky sweepstakes.
So let's just be clear here. It doesn't look like Deadpool and Wolverine. It looks like
it's their
Deadpool's butt.
I can pull it up right here.
Yeah, there you got a picture of it right there. So it literally it has a magnetic butt.
In case you don't want to be, holding their butts as you're playing, it's detachable.
Detachable and it moves back and looks like a regular controller. Yeah. So now I used to have the original Xbox controller with like the big boy controller. It kind of looks like that, but I don't know how well I would be playing Sea of Thieves. And all of a sudden, I'm hanging on to a superhero's butt.
You'd be too busy caressing that thing. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I think it would be cool.
You want one?
Yeah.
I got a friend at Microsoft. If I get you one of the Deadpool ones, will you do a review about it?
Yeah. Oh, 100% I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll even purchase an Xbox.
You'll even purchase an Xbox? And then you have to play an hour of Sea of Thieves.
Those things are like $500. You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Just add it to the console game.
There you go. All right.
I don't out of all the custom controllers that Xbox has come out over the year, this is the funniest.
This is
the funniest.
The Mountain Dew original one was pretty funny too, because they like totally embraced the whole idea of Mountain Dew. Yeah, the very original Xbox. They actually came out with an original Xbox Mountain Dew and a Mountain Dew controller.
Did it look like a butt?
Not quite look like a butt. Okay. So I guess the butt makes it.
This is cool because
we should probably be talking more about butts in the next story, but we're not going to.
Well, we should have just but.
Yeah.
Well, Nick will be talking about all the buts that come on up there. All right, story number 3. What do you got?
We're going to talk about how Windows 95 saved companies from the global IT meltdown this past week.
Okay, that's actually kind of cool. Okay, what do we got going on with there?
So if you don't know what happened, CrowdStrike disaster over the weekend, it was an outdated version of Windows that prevented greater damage in many companies.
Okay.
Last Friday, there was a worldwide IT system outage that took down millions of computers around the world. It was so catastrophic that it's been labeled as the largest IT meltdown of all time.
Okay.
Due to a faulty update, which was pushed by cybersecurity provider CrowdStrike. Numerous Windows systems were affected and crashed and couldn't boot back up due to an infinite loop of blue screens, restarts, and more blue screens. The problem has since been largely resolved, but the impact is still being felt as the CrowdStrike incident caused outages in air traffic control, hospitals, emergency service, freight dispatch, and more.
I went to the bank,
including my my workspace.
Your work. So I went to the bank before we continue on. Chase Bank, and they're all on this. Also, do you know what they were doing? They were writing out ledgers on pieces of paper, on printed pieces of paper, where they would take your account number, how much they gave you on just sheets of just regular printer paper.
They were doing it the old-fashioned way.
They had to write it down. It was amazing. I was like, wow, okay.
However, some companies were reportedly unaffected for one curious reason. They were not using modern software. Instead, they were running their computers on Windows 95 or older.
Okay.
One
with the plus pack. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Check this out. One U.S. airline, all the airlines were grounded, right? Except for
almost all.
Southwest Airlines.
Southwest, and they're the cheapo boys, right?
Yeah. They weren't affected thanks to a 32-year-old operating system. So while almost every flight in the U.S. had to be canceled due to the CrowdStrike incident, Southwest Airlines reported no problems with its operations. According to reports, large parts of Southwest systems are based on Windows 95 and Windows 3.1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The latter is over 32 years old and therefore more than just a little outdated. Windows 95 is no longer up to date either, but the airline doesn't really care. In the meantime, an alleged tweet from Southwest Airlines made the round saying, well, look who needs old Southwest Airlines now, because all of our systems run on a single Commodore 64 in a warehouse in Arlington. Go to hell. However, that tweet was fake.
One, right?
Yeah. It wasn't only U.S. airlines that didn't seem to want to keep up with the times when it comes to the modern software. In Saarland, for example, only a few systems are said to have been affected by the outages, as the authorities also rely on outdated Windows versions. There also likely have been a few system failures in Russia, as the country has not received any American products since the start of the war in Ukraine. CrowdStrike Update was also not installed on their systems, as reported by Business Insider, among others. In general, which is funny, outdated software versions and IT systems are considered to be particularly vulnerable when it comes to system breakdowns and hacking attacks. But in this particular case, however, those that have those outdated systems were exceptionally lucky. Above all, the CrowdStrike incident showed how closely interconnected the world systems are and how fragile they can be. Single vulnerability or area is enough to affect millions of people around the world.
Wow.
And that's what you get for, your faith. Putting all your faith in Windows 95 saved you this one time.
Who would have thought when Windows 95 came out, because it was pretty darn buggy, that would be the savior of the airline industry for Southwest Airlines?
30 something years later, it would save Southwest Airlines for a weekend of non-travel.
Yeah, and there's no chance that they're going to be moving forward at all.
Why would you?
Yeah.
If you can run on Windows 3.1 and Windows 95 and your operation, heck no. I mean, the poor IT guy, just think of that guy has to be some old curmudgeon and old dude. He's like in his 80s and like, we're never going to upgrade ever. And now all of a sudden he's getting,
that's pretty ageist.
Well, it is. Now
although, I have the same, I know some old guys who retired from where I work that were just like that. We're like, we're never upgrading.
They're never
stand the test of time.
That's right. You don't always have to upgrade. You don't always
type out on Papyrus.
That's why I still have a Geo Metro. There you go. All right. Well, that ends our top technology stories of the week. When we return, we have Nick Espinosa from Security Fanatics. He's going to join us to discuss
CrowdStrike.
all about the CrowdStrike. He's going to be like Dateline, NBC, and create the timeline of what went wrong and how it happened. Well, you know what? You're listening to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm. We're going to be back after this commercial break.
This is Mark
and Greg
for Copiers Northwest
with a terrific offer
called Printer Care Plus.
It's simple. Buy HP printer cartridges from Copiers Northwest and we'll service your current printers for free.
That sounds too good to be true.
It's made possible due to our HP Copiers Northwest relationship.
Copiers Northwest is an HP Platinum partner,
one of only 2 in the entire Northwest.
And now with Printer Care Plus,
Copiers Northwest will provide free printer service
as long as they purchase genuine HP cartridges from Copiers Northwest.
That's right. IT departments no longer have to service printers
or fix paper jams with Printer Care Plus.
They can focus on more strategic initiatives
and let our experienced technicians keep their HP printers up and running.
Sounds like a love-love relationship for IT departments.
Don't get too carried away. So how do they get more details on Printer Care Plus?
Call Copiers Northwest today, 206-282-1200, or visit copiersnw.com.
Copiers Northwest. New ideas, new solutions.
Well, welcome back to Tech Time. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm. And of course, we cover the top technology subjects without any political agenda. We verify the facts, and we do it with a sense of humor in less than 60 minutes with a little whiskey on the side. Mark Gregoire, our whiskey connoisseur, is back in studio. Mark, what are we tasting today?
Today, from Cat's Eye, we are drinking Obtainium Master Collection Series Light Whiskey.
Okay.
So from Cat's Eye Distillery's website, they say, what is Obtainium and why did we do it? Obtainium is exactly what the name implies. We obtain barrels from distillers all over the world. We source these spirits of varying types to create our own blends and products. All of our creations will be unique either to that particular barrel or batch. No two will ever be exactly the same. Now, this light whiskey is aged in a used charred oak barrel, generally having a slightly higher proof than the standard whiskey. These can range from 130 to 140 proof. Each individual barrel is bottled at barrel strength, so while being similar in age and type, each will have its own unique flavor and nuances. So as I mentioned, this is from Cat's Eye Distillery. It's the juice is from Indiana, so it's probably MGP. It is classification as a light whiskey. Now, what is unusual about this one is this light whiskey is 14 years old.
Okay, so it's a very aged whiskey.
Very aged one. And it's 137.2 proof. This is the highest one we've had
on the show.
And it's also the highest one from my cabinet. I don't have any hazmat ones, which are over 140 at this point.
Okay.
Still working on that.
I didn't taste the high alcohol proof. Was that? Yeah, I didn't taste it. Okay. All right. Okay.
It is.
Mine was overly smoky.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the mash bill was undisclosed, but we believe it's 99% corn and 1% malted barley, and it goes for about $55.
Oh, so they're kind of like they buy all. Is it the discarded whiskey from these other distilleries, or is it premier whiskey? How do they choose what they're going to get?
Oh, you want to get into the Mark's Mumbles because that's what we're talking about.
Okay, well there you go. We'll wait.
What
We'll
a great
find out
question.
about that. Okay, we'll figure out.
We'll leave that dangling.
This is Obtainium as.
Well, what did you guys think on the first sip? Yes,
I thought it was overpowering with the smokiness.
The smokiness.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't have a bad bitter first taste though.
You did not, or did?
I did not.
Okay.
Maybe I had ice cream before the show. So
you should try tasting it again.
Taste it out. Yeah, not a big.
No, it's pretty.
It is
mellow.
really smoky though. All right. Well, with our first, as we had dead air. That's always great radio. Dead air, tasting of something. All right, with our first whiskey tasting completed, let's move on to our feature segment. Now, Mark, you need to participate in this. So if you got questions about what's going on, all three of us are going to send questions into Nick. Okay, so
all right,
today
our
technology expert Nick Espinosa is joining the show. Nick Espinosa is an expert cybersecurity and network infrastructure. He has consulted with clients ranging from small business to the Fortune 100 level. In 1998, at the age of 19, Nick founded Windy City Networks, which was later acquired in 2015. He then created Security Fanatics, where he is the chief security fanatic. We welcome Nick to the Comcast video stream to start our next segment.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts, with our TechTime Radio expert, Nick Espinosa.
All right, Nick, welcome to the show today, sir. How has your time been over the last weekend? How has your weekend been?
I went on vacation on Friday.
Oh, did you go on vacation on Friday? Oh, wow.
Yes, my big issue here was I got crazy delayed because somebody flew American Airlines on Friday and got super delayed. But yeah, this was, welcome to the Hot Mess Express, my friends. This was absolutely insane, obviously impacting the world, as we know. And I had clients ranging, most of my larger clients are on CrowdStrike, a good chunk of them anyway. And it ranged from, oh my God, I think I'm going to quit today, to we'll be up in an hour, depending on how well you planned.
Okay. Well, so First off, what does CrowdStrike do as a company? For anybody that's listening here, let's understand what CrowdStrike does, what type of services. Explain what the company does for all these people that were impacted.
Sure. So in this case, specifically what CrowdStrike does is endpoint detection response. Think about, a traditional antivirus and then apply basically artificial intelligence to it, behavioral control to it, and you essentially have CrowdStrike. It's like antivirus with a rocket launcher and a letter from the Pope. It's very good at what it does. It's one of the best endpoint detection response platforms out there per studies, testing, all that kind of stuff. And it does other things as well, like data loss prevention standards. Their entire platform called Falcon also does permission control, threat detection, all this kind of stuff. So it's very popular for a lot of companies to essentially adopt because it checks a lot of boxes on the security side.
Clearly, it's not Grok 3 compliant.
What could ever be Grok 3 compliant, my friend?
That's right. By the end of this year, you better
we'll find out.
That's what it'll be.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Okay, so what happened to cause this mess? So everybody's hearing about the messes.
Right.
Banks are stopped. Airports are shut down. Everybody's just put to a halt. What actually caused the mess? Because at first it was reported like a cyber attack, and then all of a sudden it changed. Give the actual listening audience of what actually happened.
Right. So essentially, and for the record, there is no official report from CrowdStrike yet. And as of today, Monday, the 23rd of July, the Homeland Security is now calling the CEO of CrowdStrike, George Kurtz, to the carpet to answer questions. But what we do know is that CrowdStrike released an update. This is a legitimate update for the Windows platform, basically, as you mentioned earlier in the show. And essentially, they did something wrong and it screwed up a whole bunch that blue screened everybody. And so initially it looked like a Microsoft outage, and most of the world has no idea what or who CrowdStrike is. And so by virtue of that, Windows goes down. Guess who gets the blame? Microsoft. But essentially what happened was basically overnight on Thursday, Friday of last week, they released this update. And by virtue of that, as essentially that patch was rolled out and applied to computers started going down. So the first ones we had here in the United States were the states of Alaska and Arizona, where basically 911 service outages were happening just almost right out of the gate. Then we started getting reports on hospitals, and by 2-3 a.m. Eastern time or so, the FAA got involved and grounded Delta, American, and United, as well as Allegiant, which I think is part of United. Anyway, those four got grounded. Spirit Airlines then said they're having issues with their flight reservation system, but everything else was good. And, to the meme that you talked about earlier, Southwest is running like 80-year-old technology, so screw everybody, they were flying just fine. There you go. I'm sure that the guy that was running that was pretty happy. Then on top of that, the transit system started to go down on the East Coast, 6 a.m. And then New York, the MTA, the largest transportation network, basically said we're having outages, but trains and buses would remain. On top of that, then CrowdStrike came out 5:30 a.m. on Friday morning and said, hey, we're aware of crashes. We're looking into it, that kind of thing. And between 6 and 7 a.m., that's when the National Security Council said that they're aware of this, but they don't think that there's any kind of malicious activity. In other words, they're talking with CrowdStrike, George Kurtz's former NSA anyway, so I'm sure he's got a lot of contacts there. And so they essentially, CrowdStrike said, yeah, we've got an issue here. It's on us. And then we started hearing about the banks, and they went down everywhere. Australia banking went down. They were one of the first because, again, they're ahead of us on the time zone, which meant New Zealand also had problems. Then we started seeing South Africa, Israel, all this. And as the world turns, we obviously caught up to that. So yeah, it was a huge mess, just stem to stern.
All right. So now, what should have been done to not cause this issue? Right? I mean, it happened. There has to be, of course, responsibility that's been taken.
Oh, sure.
It's just one guy, right, sitting at a computer.
Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes there's one or two guys that just all of a sudden
Right.
starts putting these patches out and maybe not not in a test environment.
Right, right.
Let's go. What essentially what would have not caused this issue? What could have been done to prevent this?
So the interesting and I think somewhat amusing part of any kind of major outage like this is that whoever caused it immediately gets thrown under the bus, right? Microsoft, we didn't do it. It was CrowdStrike. The bank, we didn't do it. It was CrowdStrike. Everybody was saying it was CrowdStrike. And quite frankly, yes, I also think it's a shared responsibility. So if you have CrowdStrike, you should have good incident response planning. You should have contingency plans, and you would treat an outage like this similar to a ransomware, even though it's a much easier fix that CrowdStrike put out. It's just manual, so it takes a long time to get through. But essentially what this comes down to is software development lifecycle. When you are a company like CrowdStrike or any other software company, you are putting any kind of update to the software that you've got out through vetting, through testing. Is it going to blow up Windows 10, Windows 11, Mac, Linux, whatever the software runs on? And you're making sure that, yeah, this is actually going to go through a lot of different checks before you're going to push it out. You have test environments specifically for this to see how these updates are going to interact. And the speculation right now, because again, we don't have an official report, is, was it somebody going glug, 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 release? Was it the intern that they're going to throw under the bus? Or did they just fall down in their testing in some way, shape, or form? But it really looks like they should have vetted this vastly better. And obviously they should have. We just don't know to what extent. And so hopefully CrowdStrike will be transparent with us much sooner than later, because obviously we've got organizations around the globe still trying to recover from this. So it's a complete mess.
All right, so this was not a cyber attack.
No.
But it was an attack nonetheless. So let's talk about this. So this actually worked out probably more successful to take down items than really a cyber attack did, and that was because of the trusted systems that they had in place.
Yeah.
If you're trying to take down a world system, is this the way to actually do it, through trusted software, or what is kind of the overall impact in the cybersecurity world of how this happened and what happened?
Right. Well, first things first, as I'm sitting there in the airport watching my plane get more and more delayed, I am posting more and more memes hysterically about this, one, to try and cheer everybody up, because I know a ton of our colleagues are sitting there being like, I think I should just quit today. This is insane. But one of those was the old Mr. Bean taking the test and looking over. And that's literally what the hackers are doing. They're taking note of this, saying, my God, this is an easy way to hold the world hostage. And we've seen that before. Hijacking trusted software is a time-honored tradition in the hacking community. Look at Russian intelligence and SolarWinds. Look at the ransomware gangs in Kaseya. If they can get in and these companies are trusting SolarWinds, Kaseya, whatever the platform is, CrowdStrike, in this case, sending out poisoned updates that lock things out or issue ransomware or create work stoppage, pay me to get back online, is a very lucrative deal. So for the attackers. So yeah, absolutely. This is something that they're looking at. And yeah, we're going to see more of this, I think, in the future. And for the record, this could happen to any vendor. We make mistakes. We're human. Even in the vetting process, even with checks and balances, things can slip by. I mean, look at how many recalls we have on cars, right? No car comes off the line absolutely perfect. Almost every car
Especially
has
a Tesla truck.
Well,
right?
I mean, exceptions are exceptions. Can't fight perfection, right? But my point is that the people that were smugly looking at this saying, well, I'm not running CrowdStrike, so I'm going to be okay. Well, maybe your vendor's next. and those are things we have to account for and we have to consider. And and for the record, it's a bad day for CrowdStrike too. There's a lot of uncertainty there. There's going to be employees that are afraid of losing their jobs. The viability of the company due to this billions and billions of dollars. Everybody's going to sue them, that kind of thing. It's an uncertain time for them too, but it just sucks all around. It really does.
Now, how do you go about regulating big technology companies like this? So I mean, there's not really a checks and balance until something goes wrong, right? So there's no real way to say, hey, this was really good. This company's been great for 5 years. We've had no problems. They protected us between this, and this, and this. And then all of a sudden they make one mistake and then it's like, let's shoot the dog and put it to pasture. We don't want to deal with that anymore. How do you think that we should be regulating big technology companies?
Well, first things first. I mean, not all of us are the governor of South Dakota, so let's not go dog shooting anytime soon. The second thing is that what we do is supply chain due diligence, meaning we every year, if you're running CrowdStrike, you should be reviewing them, vetting them, looking for these kinds of things. Are they, have they had threats, breaches? Are they being sued in some way, shape, or form? I mean, that's kind of par for the course. But interestingly enough, there has been a push to standardize software development, aka CrowdStrike, to databases, to you name it. And the Biden administration actually put out guidance on that in form of an executive order saying that essentially they are going to create a system for software development that if the software development lifecycle of the company meets these specific standards for security, hardening, all those kinds of things, you get like a gold star, like it's like a certification, if you will, that looks good to anybody that is potentially vetting your software. And so when I'm looking at these kinds of companies like CrowdStrike, I'm looking at the software development lifecycle. If I'm vetting it, let's say for a client, I'm looking at what their financial status is. It's like, Russian oligarchs own half the company. Have they been breached? Are there problems with this? Have they had consistent issues with patching and updating? Now, you could also make the argument that CrowdStrike is a too big to fail company, given how large they are and how critical they are to the massive corporations of the world. In the same way that a Microsoft, if like Office 365 went down for a month, we'd all be screwed, right? So there has to be checks and balances put into place. And there also has to be this kind of vetting as well. And I promise you, there's going to be a whole lot of regulators and a whole lot of scrutiny on CrowdStrike as a result of this. It may not be coming from the United States because a lot of countries like Australia, New Zealand, and Europe, the EU, have way better laws over this than we do at the moment.
So should there be an audit that happens now? And I'll say, Biden's administration, and I'm sure it wasn't Joe Biden, but either his chief of staff or his administrative had done a really good job in my eyes for technology consolidation, coming up with some processes, trying to get some technology in there. I don't think the other regimes of presidents before really took technology necessarily as important and really kind of put that to the forefront. I'm not trying to say a political opinion either way of what I'm affiliated with. I'm just saying the facts of this administration has spent a lot of time on this.
Right.
Do we think that we're going in the right direction here, or should we? Because the European Union just seems to be so much ahead of the U.S. and how they have their regulatory items, how they're keeping Facebook and TikTok and these companies kind of in check on what's going on, and they kind of seem to have a control of that. What can the United States do to kind of play in the same field with them?
Be more proactive.
Right. And for the record, Europe is more proactive. The EU, their data protection authorities are more proactive, but it's also a balance in the sense that if you look at Ireland, for example, they are absolutely slammed with requests, for data breaches. They can't keep up. So when we were talking about privacy violations, I mean, even Europe has problems with this because the technology moves so fast and consumes so much data as billions of us literally are using it every day. And so by virtue of that, yes, we have these issues. And I've said before, like, on my own, podcast video, all that kind of stuff, that the movement we've seen for cybersecurity, across the federal government, as issued by the Biden administration is something we needed under Trump and Obama and probably even under Clinton, where this should have started. So this is not a partisan issue at all. It's just simply something that we need to ensure that our infrastructure continues to survive. Now, CrowdStrike would fall under that. CrowdStrike, for the record, when the Russians hacked the DCCC in the 2016 election, CrowdStrike was the one that was brought in to actually verify that. So they go they go pretty far back, and they have very good forensics as well. And so they're going to be under scrutiny for this. But right now, it's going to be very difficult to get any kind of law or enforcement for this. Now, we've seen laws passed in a bipartisan manner for cybersecurity, both under Trump and Biden. So an IoT security bill for the government in the last days of the Trump administration, sponsored by a Republican and a Democrat, was almost unanimously voted for in the House and Senate and signed into law by then President Trump. So these things can happen. It's just we all have to agree it's an urgent need. And that's the biggest issue, especially when Congress today looks like they couldn't even vote for dog catcher right now. So we'll see where that goes. But, here we are kind of stuck in the middle with you, kind of a situation. What are you going to do?
All right. So how long
more whiskey?
Always.
How long do you think it's going to take to come out of this mess? Do you think it's just going to be by the end of this week and everything will be back up and running again? Or do you think there's going to be some residual concerns for companies?
Right. So those companies that are considered critical infrastructure and are large, think American Airlines, United, etc. Within hours, I was already getting alerts from American Airlines that said they had fully restored capability within hours of this, literally. And it was just getting through the backlog of delays to even out the flight schedule. Same with United, same with Delta, etc., Southwest, who knows? But the point is that these large companies have a lot of resiliency built in to quickly step back critical infrastructure, because think about it. If an American Airlines or United goes down for an hour, that's billions of dollars. That's a lot of angry customers. That's screw you, American, I'm switching to United, or vice versa, which really doesn't do you any good here, but people do those kinds of things. And so by virtue of that, the large players are already back up and running for the most part. And again, it really comes down to how you plan and how you train for these kinds of contingencies. And anybody that has an incident response plan for ransomware could have pretty much gone right to it and said, okay, we don't have to do the decryption part, but this is how we get everything back online as fast as humanly possible, and everybody knows their part. Those organizations that don't do any of this, that are winging it, they're going to take weeks. And quite frankly, we're going to see that in large companies too, that really just haven't invested in that internal process development. And that's, honestly, on them, that's their detriment.
That is. All right, Nick. Well, they should all reach out to you if they need consulting help. That's right. But now if someone else wants to reach out to you, where can they find you online to connect outside of our show?
Yeah. You can like, share, follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Nick AESP, or X, excuse me. Same with YouTube as well, /Nick Espinosa, and come hang out. I'd love to say hi.
All right, Nick, thank you so much for coming on our show. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, and have a great rest of your week.
You too,
Bye,
guys.
Nick.
See you guys.
Well, that ends our Ask the Expert with Nick Espinosa. Up now, though, we have Mike's mesmerizing moment.
Welcome to Mike's mesmerizing moment. What does Mike have to say today?
All right, Mike, why do humans resist change? Let's talk about this. So the guy that's playing Minesweeper for Southwest Airlines that never operated anything more than Windows 95, doesn't even know what Windows 7 is, they wish the whole Windows 10 upgrades. He's just kind of sitting back there. Why does he resist changing to new operating systems with computers?
Well, humans just don't like change.
Okay.
It represents two of our greatest fears are fear of the unknown and fear of rejection.
Okay.
Right. So when we are confronted with these things, first we have to confront the fear of the unknown, and that's hard for us to do, especially for humans are habitual.
Okay.
We find stuff that works, and then we want to stay there.
Yep.
We don't want to go looking for other things because that goes against our nature. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So we have to confront that, and that fear of the unknown keeps us from really kind of confronting that a lot of the time. And as we get older, I've noticed you probably do it too, is that you don't have time to do it all over again. Something new comes down the pike, you're like, I'm tired. I just learned what the old version was like. I don't need to learn the new version. I don't need it.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things going on there, and it's not a surprise that some of these companies are running on 30-year-old hardware and software. I mean, the the space program still uses a lot of click switches.
Yep.
They haven't upgraded to what you see on Star Trek,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
So
It depends on what version you watch. If you watch the newer versions of the older show, everything's working. But yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but that's essentially it. We human beings are habitual. We don't like to change because we have to confront fears in order to do so.
All right. Well, we're going to confront fears and make changes as we move into our commercial break. When we return, though, we have This Week in Technology. So now is a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side, as we're going to be doing so during the break. You're listening to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm. See you in a few minutes.
How to See a Man About a Dog. It combines darkly comic short stories, powerful poems, and pulp fiction prose to create a heartbreaking and hilarious journey readers will not soon forget. Read How to See a Man About a Dog, collected writings, for free with Kindle Unlimited. Ebook available on Kindle, print copies available on Amazon the Book Depository, and more.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
All right, on the way back machine, we're taking a look at July 20th, 1969. The Eagle has landed. The Eagle is the Apollo 11 lunar module. Successfully lands in the area of the moon known as the Sea of Tranquility. Upon landing, Neil Armstrong utters the now famous phrase, "The Eagle has landed." About 6 hours later, while setting foot on the moon, he utters the even more famous phrase, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind."
You heard that too, didn't you?
What's that?
The Mune.
What's that? What did I say?
You said the Mune.
The Mune.
The moon?
The Mune.
Mune.
When he's setting his foot on the moon. The moon. Sorry. Blah, blah, blah. That is some.
That's
After you
the
have
whiskey
3 or 4
talking.
shots of this high alcohol, the screen seems to be dancing around a little bit. Well,
Yeah, blame it on the whiskey, buddy.
now there are some people in today's world that still believe that this was all filmed on a studio, and we have yet to land on the moon. I do not know why. I don't know why you would think
man,
that, but there are
There's
some
flat
people.
earthers out there.
There's flat earthers, and there's people that believe that we didn't ever go to the moon yet.
Does that mean when you use a telescope and look at the moon and you see the stuff on the moon that they just put little stickers over every single telescope?
Right.
So they do.
That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
All right.
Conspiracy.
I think we should stop talking about the Mune and go home and go into a Pule.
All right. Well, that was This Week in Technology. If you ever wanted to watch some tech time history with over 200 weekly broadcasts spanning 5+ years of video, podcast, and blog information, you can visit techtimeradio.com to watch our older shows. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we have the Mark's Mumble Whiskey Review. See you after the break.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
The segment we've been waiting all week for. Mark's Whiskey Mumble.
All right.
I was just going to finish off the CrowdStrike. Unlike Mike, it did not affect me. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was at Geek Fest having a great time. Didn't even know what was going on.
That's right. You know what? The Geek Fest systems all run on Amazon Cloud Services. So guess what? We were up and running, and people were telling me all about it. And I'm like, guess what, baby? We are fine. And if I needed to, we would have jumped over to Google Cloud Services on the Zoho backend. So let me just tell you, Zoho Corporation.
Are you talking
Doing
about
a
how
shameless
awesome
plug?
those are, or that they're
No,
not
how awesome
Windows
Geek Fest
95?
is.
Oh, Geek Fest was pretty
Geek
awesome.
Fest.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Geek Fest? So that we've been talking about. Most of the staff here, Odie was helping
All the
at
staff here was
registration.
there.
Mike was coming around looking at
He
the
popped
event
in.
and stuff.
I popped in.
I
I don't really like going to
Mike's
those
a hermit.
things.
So, but you got to see that. Let me just tell you, Mark here, he is a salesman. I have never seen anybody give away merchandise or sell merchandise like
Don't let
Mark
people
does.
know. I'm technical. I'm supposed to be technical.
Oh, you're supposed to be
I'm
technical?
supposed to be technical.
All right. He was like, we want one t-shirt. I'll give you 3 t-shirts for an additional $10. And I'll give you this. Okay. All right. Tell us what we got for our moment.
Today, it's July 23rd.
Okay.
Woo!
Woo!
Is it hot enough for you? day?
I don't know. Is it?
It is. Yeah. We are celebrating
It's the hottest
Hot
day.
Enough for You Day.
Hot enough for you day.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
thanks to Odie for that clip. I had a throwback clip for you, Nathan.
What did you have?
And I don't think she even knows where it's from.
I know what it's from.
What was
I
it?
had
Hold
the Heat
on.
Miser song.
The Heat Miser song.
Yeah.
The Year
Really?
Without Santa Claus.
From the Santa
tune.
Claus show?
Oh, from the Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
See, that's why I
I'm
didn't put
Mr.
it.
Heat Blister.
Okay.
I'm Mr. 101.
I'm Mr. Sun.
I'm Mr. Heat
I don't know
Miser.
what's worse.
Is that the alcohol is making me just feel really loopy. I'm like,
We're
I'm
feeling
enjoying
good.
this.
All right.
okay.
Summer is slowly reaching its peak.
Okay.
And so everyone's patient with the extreme hot weather across the U.S. is kind of running out. So during this time, people tend to lose interest in their daily activities because of how overwhelming the heat is. But all is not doom and gloom with the summer weather. You can plan interesting activities that revolve around making the most of the summer. And you can start by asking the question, is it hot enough for you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, talking about what else is hot.
Okay.
This whiskey.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
This is the highest proof we've had. This is the hottest whiskey we've had so far.
It's definitely hot.
I mean,
Now, Nathan asked a great question at the last segment as a little tease. So let me tell you his answer.
Okay.
Optimium light whiskey came into existence in 1968 because consumers were moving away from bourbon and moving into clear spirits such as vodka and gin.
Mm.
So light whiskey is distilled between 160 to 190 proof.
Ooh.
Contrast that with bourbon or American rye, they only top out at 160. It must be aged in used charred oak barrels or new uncharred oak. Most distilleries didn't let it age for very long. Now, sourced from MGP in Indiana, this light whiskey soon fell out of favor, and the stocks were just left hanging around, mostly ignored and forgotten for years until now.
Okay.
Now, I think this is a fun whiskey. It's definitely a little hot, yet it has a rich sweetness from the corn translated into caramel, butterscotch, and brown sugar. It ends with vanilla, cinnamon, and a touch of oak for me. To me, it's
now when you say it's hot, what does that mean? Is that supposed to be because it's not bitter in my opinion? It's
bitter
not
has
bitter.
nothing to do with
So
heat.
so what's the hot part?
So when you drink, take a nice big sip, you feel that going down.
Okay, you feel the warmth of the drink.
The warmth.
Okay,
the
yeah, no,
alcohol.
I agree with that. Yep. Okay.
I don't know what your bitterness stuff is.
Yeah. Is that just a Nathan thing?
That's usually comes more on the bourbons and the ryes from the barrel, the tannic from the barrels.
Okay. All right.
But I enjoy that because that's like wine, and I know you're not much of a wine drinker, so I think that affects you a little more.
Okay.
So I think this is an enjoyable sip and would make also a terrific cocktail.
It would,
because it would stand up.
All right. You know what? Whiskey and technology, such great pairings. Kind of like Wolverine and Deadpool.
Are you talking about their butts?
Well, especially the controllers. All right, now let's prepare for our technology fail of the week.
We are out of time. Congratulations. You're a failure.
Oh. I failed, did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
All right, well, this week's failure comes to us from the TSA text machines that you go to the airport.
More butts.
All right. TSA agent says passengers with big butts set off airport x-ray machines more often. If you're packing an extra little bit on the backside, traveling via the air could be a little bit more prone to some extra TLC from the TSA. That's because those big butts set off the airport x-ray machines more often than those traveling with a smaller booty. This is an observation that has been taken care of and observed by many TSA agents. And all of a sudden, Alyssa Carolyn decided to go to TikTok and post this information, who had more than 314,000 followers. She said, "My husband is a TSA agent. He just told me that people with blessed postures set off the x-ray machine more often than not." Although the TSA is not prepared to admit that it's this big butts and they cannot lie. Essentially, they told the New York Post and claims made in the video that they cannot authenticate the claims, but it does seem to happen more than often. Likely story, just admitted the TSA is officially into bigger booty.
So nobody knows why big butt set off.
And nobody does.
Well,
Okay, there's two
yeah,
theories.
I have a theory.
Okay.
Would it possibly be anything to do with like BBLs?
Oh, maybe.
You know,
Maybe.
that's what When you said that, that's immediately what came into mind.
Okay.
You see that in the X-ray, just a pad of silicone.
From the technology
You
point
might
of
have to explain what that means.
A BBL?
Yeah.
The Brazilian butt lift? You know, the implants?
Butt lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very
It makes your butt.
it makes
Yeah,
it
I know
move
what it
everything
is.
up and
Yeah.
kind of have the bubble butt type of
See,
feel.
I was just thinking that would just set off the alarm in the
Well,
thing.
there's some technology with there's two reasons that they believe it happens. So one, kind of what Odie was referring to.
Her.
What?
Continue.
Okay, Odie, thank you. They program these for certain general body types. So if anything bulges more or is outside of that body type, it throws off an alarm. And then number two, sweat triggers the alarms a lot.
Okay, so TSA doesn't live in America? Is that what you're saying?
So this article was brought up. All these butt articles, I think most of them, Gregoire brought them up on the show last.
I haven't
last night production.
We have
Kind of into that whole
today's
thing.
theme is butt.
I've been wondering why the alarm keeps going off when I go through.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, look at that.
All right.
It's because you wear tinfoil hats. That's
all right. Well, you know what? Now we're gonna move into our Nathan Nugget.
This is your Nugget of the Week.
We're going to talk about butts.
Oh, no, we're moving away from that. But I have a news story for you. Now, the UK arrests suspected scatter spider hacker linked to the MGM casino attacks. You remember we talked about this?
Yeah, back in, what was it?
It was last year.
Last year.
Last year, where essentially all of the Las Vegas MGM casinos were shut down. You couldn't have your card key work. So essentially you had to have hotel staff come on up, get you into your room, exit your room itself because they all self-locked. You had then card keys that could just get into every room at a time. You had the casino slot machines completely shut down. You had machines pay out. Well, guess what this was? This was a 17-year-old boy that essentially was playing around with his developers, and he is a part of the Scatter Spider hacking collective that essentially shut this down. Now, he has been arrested in connection with the global cyber online crime group that targets larger organizations that have had ransomware. And essentially, he was in the UK when the arrest happened. Now, we suspected the statement for the police to come on out over the next couple of weeks. The hacking collective behind the MGM attack, known as Scattered Spider, cost MGM Resorts about $100 million.
Yeah, we're talking
the
about
Las Vegas
right?
company says. So one
That's not
guy,
a lot of money for them.
was that?
That's not a lot of money.
That's
for
not
them.
well for $100 million for a 17-year-old hacker. And supposedly the hack was pretty simple. It wasn't like this huge intelligence. I'm going to come on in.
So this
like,
kid's not like some sort of genius, right?
No,
He
it wasn't
just
like an Ocean's 11 hack. It was
So
like
it-
a very simple hack. He found it though, and then he just exploited it all over everywhere and was able to have that taken care of. Now
so
there
this,
is some
this kid's not going to be in the government program, right?
Oh, so this guy,
Just a robot.
So this guy is going to end up going to jail for 2 years. Come on out. He's going to write a book, and then every company in the world is going to want to hire him as their cybersecurity expert and pin him up there as what happens to all these people.
And he's not going to be a cybersecurity expert. He's just somebody who accidentally found something. Is that what you're saying?
No, he'll end up working for some cybersecurity big company as their spokesperson about how he
Yeah,
hacked.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But he's not actually as awesome as
No,
this.
it was not like this hack where you see Ocean's 11 and they go on in and you have this big elaborate scheme to get something. It was just a couple digits here and there that he changed, and he figured out how to replicate them out. Well, now it's time to what is that, Odie? What are you shaking your head about?
Say moon.
Now it's time for the pick of the day.
Oh, it's pick of the day.
And now our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbles to the top.
All right.
We're drinking Obtainium Master Collection Series Light Whiskey from Cat's Eye Distillery, which is located in Iowa. The distillation is from MGP in Indiana. Is 14 years old, 137.2 proof, $55.
He's right in my price range too. So this is the stuff I need to get for the outside drinking in the middle of the summertime.
No, you don't.
What?
Nah, you know.
It's like in $55 and it's got like high content. You have a
Oh,
little
okay.
listen.
Well, you can get Everclear for cheaper than that.
Well, Everclear is horrible tasting.
Yeah, this
This stuff is delicious.
Well, is it? Mike,
I'm
are you giving it a-
conflicted because the
thumbs up
longer it sat out, the better it got.
Mm.
So initially, I was going to give it a thumbs down,
Really?
but I think I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Okay.
The alcohol gets to you and you just start enjoying it.
Nathan.
Yeah,
I give it a thumbs up.
Okay,
Absolutely.
yay.
even though
Mark?
you didn't drink any of it.
Oh, yeah. I'm enjoying this
Yeah.
one.
Is this on your shelf at home?
It's on my shelf. Now, is it the overall best? No, but it's a fun one.
Okay.
It's a different flavor, different type of style. Enjoyable.
Odie, did you try some today?
No.
It does have a kick.
That's why Odie's the only coherent one
I
today.
was gonna say there is a kick to it. Whoa. All right, Mike. Well, we're just about out of time. We want to thank our listeners for joining the program. Listeners, we want to hear from you. Visit techtimeradio.com. Click on the Be a Caller, Ask a Technology Question in our talkback recording system. You can always stay connected by visiting us at techtimeradio.com or become a Patreon supporter. From all of us at Tech Time, it was an honor to be a host of today's show. Join us next week on the show where bites collide, circus sing, and geeks reign supreme. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm, signing off with a binary wink.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on Tech Time Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at Tech Time Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.